Hello and welcome back to the course on Python programming. Today we're going to talk about a very quick concept, but nevertheless it's that important that I thought it's worthwhile creating a separate tutorial for this concept. And the concept is about slicing arrays. So we've already spoken about slicing lists, and we talked about that in a lot of detail. So we already know that we can take a list, which we have here. This is the list from our previous tutorial. So we have a list here of 4 elements, and we can take, for instance, everything from element with number 1 onwards, or we can take everything between element number 0 and 0, 1, 2, and just look at that. So that'll be element 0, element 1, and 2 is not inclusive. Or we can take everything and then just with a step of 2. So basically take the element of number 0, element of number 1, element of number 2, because the step is 2. So we'll know all of those things. Now, can we slice arrays in a similar way? Well, yes, we can. Yes, of course we can. So let's have a look at that. So there's our array. And now if we slice it, we say A, and for example, we'll say everything from element with number 2, so 0, 1, 2 from 546 onwards. You run that, you have the rest of your array, or you can say A, basically everything from 2 to element with number, so that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, element, we'll say element 4, so that'll be 0, 1, 2, so from here, 3, but not including 4, so it'll be up to here, so just those 2 elements. So if I run that, and so on. But an important thing about slicing arrays is that whenever you slice an array, you don't create a copy of that array. So with lists, you're creating another list that has those values, and therefore you can just work with it separately. With arrays, you're not creating another copy. That's important to remember. So if I say something like this, let's say array B equals that slice, you might think that, oh yes, I've created another array, it's called B, now I can work with it. Well, what actually you've just created is a view of the array A. So now if I say B, and for example, I say, what is element 0 in B? It's 546, correct. Yeah, that's array B, that's element 546. Or let's say, I want to take all the elements of array B. Right there, 546 and 215, and let's say I want to assign them a value of 111. Let's do that. So I'm going to assign B that value, all of the elements B that value. So there we go. Now B has 2 elements. Well, now if you look at A, just the array A, what you will find is that these 2 values have also been replaced. So as you remember, they were 546, 215. They have been replaced, and that is important to remember when you're creating a slice of an array. You're not creating a new array, you're actually just working with that same old array, you're just creating a view of that array. So why does that happen? Well, that's just a way that Python or NumPy protects the memory of the computer. So if you create copies and copies of arrays, then unnecessarily, then that'll just take up memory space. So Python automatically, or NumPy automatically protects us that way. If we want to actually create a copy of an array, then we can always do that. We can always just say, for instance, array C equals array A dot, and then we can look up the function that we need or method, and it's called copy. So we just say copy, and that way now we've created array C, which is a copy of array A. And if we say, and if we make changes to array C, let's put a 0 in the first element, and then we look at C. So you can see we replaced 0 here, and we look at A, you can see that it's still as it used to be. So you can always make a copy, but you have to call this method. And so to tell NumPy that, yes, actually I do want to make a copy, I know what I'm doing, I'm not going to be just using the computer's resources by accident. So there we go, that's how we work with arrays when we slice them. Just remember that, that's an important point, that whenever you slice an array, you're not actually making a copy, you're creating a view of that same array. So if you make changes to the slice, you're going to make changes to the original array. Have a play around with that, give it some practice, so just to let that knowledge sink in, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy coding.